Well, welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio. We dropped a big episode on Monday with Senator Alyssa Slotkin, and we wanted to get on here for a couple of reasons today. For one, we have another episode dropping Tuesday, today, with former Montana Governor Mark Roscoe. He was a longtime Republican. He led the Republican National Committee, actually, and was the chair of the campaign to reelect George W. Bush. And he's been a vocal critic of President Donald Trump, and he is getting behind some new ventures here to try to keep his voice active. And we talked to him about a lot of that. So that's dropping later today. But
And
we also wanted to. Oh, go ahead.
just for the record, he's still a Republican. Okay, just for the
Well,
record.
he didn't quite say that. He said it
No, he
doesn't really
said he hasn't.
matter.
He said he hasn't changed at all over the last 20 years. The fact the party's changed, and he's absolutely correct. He's still a Republican. He's
Okay.
Eisenhower Republican versus a Trump Republican.
That's right. So it's a great conversation. I could listen to Governor Roscoe read the phone book. His voice is just, it's very unique, and he's a very, very smart man. So I think you'll enjoy it. But we wanted to get on here this morning because I was, doom scrolling and saw this news that I really haven't seen make big headlines yet. Of course, we have some stuff going on with the whole issue with Iran and Israel that we'll talk about in a second. But basically, the Senate parliamentarian went through the big, beautiful bill and ruled against several provisions in this based on the bird rule. So, Senator Tester, will you tell us a little bit more about the bird rule? But let me just say the public land section falls under this. So tell us about the bird rule and what this does.
Well, I mean, look, there's certain provisions, just to boil it down without getting into the intricacies of it all. There are certain provisions that are allowed in reconciliation and certain provisions that don't. If they fall under the hood of reconciliation, they can be in, like cutting Medicaid. Okay, that falls under it, so you can do it. Selling off public lands, not so much. And so the parliamentarian said, "Hey, this doesn't fit in a reconciliation bill because of the rule that was set up in reconciliation, which was done when Robert C. Byrd was in the United States Senate, and which allows, by the way, bills to be passed with simple majority when it deals with things like taxes." And so they came up with this rule, Elizabeth is absolutely very, very nonpartisan, very straight shooter, applies the rules as they're.
Elizabeth is the Senate parliamentarian,
Yeah,
Elizabeth
Elizabeth
McDonough.
McDonough, and she's somebody that everybody that serves in the Senate knows, because if you have a bill, she's the one that determines what committee it goes to. She did in reconciliation, she determines what language it works on. So you talk to her to figure out, what's going on, and in the end, when she makes a rule, that's it, final rule, done.
Nothing
And
they can do about it.
she's a parliamentarian, and so.
Okay.
And by the way, and so she made the rule, and I think it was the right thing. I could tell you there's a lot of Republican senators right now, too, in particular, that are pretty relieved that she pulled the sale of the public lands out of this bill, because the truth is that my belief that one of them helped put it in to begin with. So there you go.
Okay, so there are a couple provisions that she ruled against. One, this is from The Hill. They're reporting that they would deem offshore oil and gas projects as automatically compliant with the National Environmental Policy Act. So that would basically get rid of any kind of environmental review process for those projects. So she said that violates this rule. And then another that would require offshore oil and gas leases to be issued within 90 days after the lease sale. And then we have this this section of the bill that would have sold off millions of acres of federal public land owned by both the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, and the U.S. Forest Service. We have been talking about this a lot. You went on with Heather Cox Richardson and talked about public lands. We talked about it with Tracy Stone Manning. We talked about it with Lantani. We're talking about it again tomorrow live with Ryan Bussey, who ran for Montana governor here in Montana. Of course, in Montana. Sorry, I'm just on my first cup of coffee here. So this is a big deal, and So in order for these she ruled this, Senator, and so they would need a 60 votes to overcome this, right? And there's just no way they're going to get 60 votes to overcome this.
Well, I don't know that because I'm not there. But I think it's doubtful. I think you're correct. I think it's a hard it's a hard it's a hard climb for them, and it should be. By the way, getting rid of our public lands that we all own is something that should not even be considered to begin with, and was a stupid damn idea.
And this has bipartisan support. I've seen a lot of Republicans speaking out against the sale of public lands too. So let's talk about a couple other things while I have you here, since you put on a collared shirt and everything to get on Substack Live with me. Let's talk about what's going on with this whole Iran-Israel ceasefire deal. We saw President Trump just get on Marine One. He's on his way to the NATO summit in the Netherlands right now, and basically he had harsh words when he got on, and he said, quote, "We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard they don't know what the fuck they're doing." This comes after last night he posted a long series of posts on Truth Social talking about, congratulations to the world, and then saying that they agreed to a ceasefire, and it took a few hours for Iran to say, yeah, we did, and then the attacks started again.
Well, this is what happens when you bomb a country, and for the president to say that these folks have been fighting forever is absolutely true. But that was true before we dropped the bombs on Iran too. Look, said it before, I'll say it again. Bibi was in political trouble. There were negotiations going on with Iran and the United States, which was the right thing to do, which would have not helped him politically. So he subverted those by bombing Iran. That is my belief. That's the way I read the picture. And and I think the result of that is that um, the United States didn't say no, and then the United States got sucked in again by Bibi to do the bombing in Iran. And now, hopefully, the president understands that, although it is a little bit too late. I hope he understands that you know Israel and Iran have been fighting forever, and this is what happens. And I hope this ceasefire holds. I really do. I think it would be really, really good. But as has been pointed out since this all started, retaliation will result in retaliation, will result in retaliation. But I hope the
He just
ceasefire. But
he
but
just
the truth is this, Maritza. This should have all been thought about before the B-2s were sent over and dropped the bombs. This should have all been thought about before Bibi was given the okay to bomb Iran, because I believe that happened too. And so all this stuff was entirely preventable. This should have been thought about before the JCPOA was ripped up during Trump's first administration, because all this stuff leads to exactly where we are today. And it's not good. There's no good that can come out of this. Look, we've said it before, we'll say it again. Iran having a nuclear weapon is not a good thing. But there are ways to stop it through negotiations. Obama administration did it. Trump administration said since Obama did this, it's no good, so ripped it up. And we're able to get Iran back to the negotiating table, which is amazing, by the way, that was able to be done. And then Bibi comes in and starts bombing them right in the middle of the negotiations. All this is a bunch of crap, by the way, and puts taxpayers and our country at a risk that didn't need to happen.
We've been on a little bit of a journey on his Truth Social page this morning again. As we sit here recording this, 2 hours ago, he said Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. And then says, thank you for your attention to this matter. Then he says, Iran will never rebuild their nuclear facilities. Then he goes off about, going to NATO. Then he goes off about Thomas Massey, the Republican House member who said that sending those missiles or attacking Iran in the first place was unconstitutional. And then he was on a tear about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And now he's saying, now that we have made peace abroad, we must finish the job here at home by passing the great big, beautiful bill. So we're all over the place this morning. I haven't seen him talk about anything the parliamentarian has ruled in the great, big, beautiful bill this morning, including the public land sales. But I think we're in for another journey here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And and look, if you when the Roscoe interview comes out, it's worth a listen because Mark Roscoe pointed out some of the things that the president does, which is one of the reasons that he is not enamored with this president. And one of them is just what you talked about, what he does with Massey, or what he does with the news media, or what he does with anybody that challenges his perspective. That's why diversity is out, because we don't want diversity. We don't want different opinions. It has to be his opinion, or it's not a patriotic opinion, or it's not the right opinion. And that's not how this country works. It's not how it was set up. And by the way, anybody that knows anything about life knows that diversity in opinion is a very, very good thing, or anything about business, diversity of opinion is a very, very good thing. And so, that's just the way things work right now. You've got to expect it. If Massey said something against what the president did, so now his goal is to try to destroy Massey. If a news reporter writes something about something that the president did and he doesn't like it, he tries to destroy the news media. That's just what he does. And so it's very, very unfortunate because, listening to people, negotiating, compromising, all that's part of what makes this country great. And he's trying to take that away.
Okay, if anybody has questions, you can put them in the chat. We're going to wrap up here. Is there anything I missed, Senator? Anything you want to talk about? Anything going on the farm
No,
today?
I do think the parliamentarian's decision on the public lands in particular is a huge decision. And like I said to you earlier, or maybe on this little live cast we're doing, there's a lot of senators that are breathing a sigh of relief because they'd have wore this around their neck, and Elizabeth Dunn took it off the table. And so, which was the right thing to do, by the way. It was the right thing to do. Selling our public lands is not something that fits under reconciliation rules.
Do you I mean, I know life has changed and being in the Senate has changed since you first were elected more than 18 years ago now. But do you think that she faces backlash?
She could. I mean, if you look at what President Trump does to people who disagree with him, I mean, she absolutely, I'll be surprised if she doesn't, by the way. But the parliamentarian is hired by the United States Senate, and if those guys have any backbone at all, they will let her do her job. She made decisions I liked. She made decisions I didn't like while I was in the United States Senate. That's her job. She's the referee. She has to make the call. And if she gets replaced because of this, oh well, boy, it'd be really, really unfortunate.
Okay. All right. Well, we are going to leave you with that. We hope you enjoy our conversation with former Montana Governor Mark Roscoe, dropping later today. And feel free to shoot us a message anytime here on Substack. I think we are going live tomorrow morning with Ryan Bussey. And then we are doing a live Substack chat with Tiffany Muller of End Citizens United on Thursday. I have you totally packed out this week. Sorry, Senator.
You're just damn lucky it rained, because otherwise I'd be on the swather. And maybe
That's
anyway.
okay.
And
You
maybe
can
any.
you can join on the swather. I think our viewers would enjoy seeing you out on
Yeah,
the
if you
swather.
did, yeah, it's, well, you'll see probably. All right.
We will see. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Yep.